September. Reggie Squirrel. Autumn had arrived, and it was Reggie Squirrel's 7th birthday. Reggie woke up early and set off excitedly to visit the stag beetle. He knocked loudly on Stanley's door, but no one answered. Berry and Balthazar's houses were empty too.
No one's at home. Who can I celebrate my birthday with?
He sobbed to himself.
Hi there, happy birthday,
shouted Harry Hedgehog. Your friends told me to take you for a ride while they prepare your present.
So that's why no one's at home,
Reggie said, smiling again. He sat in the hedgehog cart and they set off. In the meantime, the centipede busily raked the leaves up and the woodworms wriggled about in them.
That's enough of that. I need to clear the leaves from the path,
the centipede said.
You could pick the litter up because we should look after nature. Okay, we'll help,
the woodworms whistled. Then they saw Harry Hedgehog and Reggie Squirrel, and they waved at the birthday boy when the hedgehog cart passed them. It was the afternoon by the time they got back to Reggie Squirrel's home.
Happy birthday!
All the forest friends shouted with glee. Reggie Squirrel saw that the pals had bandaged the oak tree.
You've made my tree better,
Reggie said with a tear in his eye.
Hooray for Reggie Squirrel!
Shouted a band of squeaky little voices, and the fireflies appeared high up above.
We've made you 7 lanterns for your 7th birthday. They're beautiful,
said Reggie, clapping his paws together. At that point, Berry and Dolly handed the hazelnut cake they had made to Reggie. And while they were eating, Zephyr made an announcement.
A 7th birthday is an important thing because 7 is a special number. There are 7 colours in the rainbow. A dragon has 7 heads. And there are 7 days in a week. There are 7 dwarfs in the story about Snow White. And there are 7 notes on a musical scale. You still haven't seen your main present, said the little flower beetle as he hopped around. Have you found the hot air balloon? Reggie asked with a surprised smile. We found it and fixed it, said a proud Berry. Come on, we'll take you for a flight. Hooray! Reggie Squirrel cried, and he hopped happily into the balloon's basket. They flew high above the tiny houses and had a super view of the forest from the sky. Then the stars appeared, and Reggie stared in delight at the twinkling night sky. It's been a busy day, hasn't it? Asked Dolly. Yes, it's been a busy and brilliant birthday, Reggie Squirrel agreed with a grin. Good night, the little friends shouted, and the squirrel climbed sleepily back into his house, cuddled up in his little bed, and soon fell fast asleep. July. Alfonso's Ice Lollies. One warm summer day, Alfonso the cricket invited Bubble the flower beetle, Berry the snail boy, and Dolly the ladybird girl to his house for the afternoon. Let's make ice lollies,
he suggested.
But what from? And how?
Asked Bubble.
It's very simple. We just squash a little fruit and put it in paper cups. Then we put sticks in to make ice lollies. Then we pop the cups into the freezer and wait until they're frozen. Then we pull them out of the cups and they're finished. So they made the puree, filled the cups and put them in the freezer.
We can play memory while they're freezing. I brought my memory cards with me, said Bubble. The cards were circular with pictures of all kinds of fruit on them. There were 2 of each, and the game was to find the matching card. Dolly realised that Bubble kept winning.
Oh, Bubble, you're cheating. You've marked the cards.
No, I haven't.
Yes, you have,
the ladybird girl barked.
Okay, yes, I marked the cards, but I don't like losing,
said the little flower beetle, and he burst into tears.
I don't like losing either,
Berry added.
I've got an idea,
the cricket announced. What if we think up a game where we don't play against each other, but together, like a team? Berry also had an idea.
Not long ago, Eddie, Balthazar, Morris and I decided to catch a train. We ran after it, but Morris was too slow, and we decided that none of us would travel on the train.
Why are you saying that? Bubble asked.
Because we could make a good game out of that, Berry explained. The idea is that all 4 players have to arrive at the train before the train driver. If the train driver is quicker, you lose the game because the train is left without you. That's a super idea. Let's make a dice,
said Dolly, and she painted dots on a wooden building block. Alfonso found 5 coloured stones from his pebble collection.
These will be the counters,
he proudly announced. Then he produced a piece of paper and they drew 5 paths, the train and the players' houses.
Alfonso can start from the orange dot, Dolly from the red, and me from the blue, and Bubble from the yellow, Berry explained. And the engine driver can start from the green dot,
Bubble decided.
Let's start!
The engine driver was very nearly there when the last of the 4 players arrived at the platform.
Yes, we won!
Bubble shouted out.
It's time we checked on the ice lollies,
the cricket interrupted. Alfonso was right, and the ice lollies were frozen. They all enjoyed their ice-cold treats.
Come on, let's go for a swim,
said Alfonso when they had all eaten their lollies. They were soon joined by a visitor as the rainbow fish swam past them. Berry and Dolly asked their fishy friend to let them jump off its back into the water, and it happily joined in the fun. Then the friends spent the rest of the summer afternoon splashing around until they got tired and it was time to go home.
The Windmill. One summer day, Berry and Dolly were playing badminton by the windmill. All of a sudden, they heard the sound of sobbing.
It's coming from the windmill,
the snail boy said. They set off in the direction of the sound and soon arrived at the windmill. There they found the mill beetle sitting sobbing on the ground.
Why are you crying?
They asked him. The storm damaged the mill sails. They're ruined and I can't mend them, the mill beetle complained.
Let's call the others here. Stanley's got a saw, Balthazar's got a hammer, and I'm sure we can all fix it together, Dolly proposed.
All right, the mill beetle sniffed. The ladybird girl flew off right away to tell her friends. Very soon, Stanley, Balthazar, Zephyr, Eddie, Bubble and Morris arrived. They all got hard to work fixing the broken sails. They worked hard for 2 long days and were eventually done by the end of the second day.
Hooray! Just like new,
the mill beetle cheered.
I'll start the mill going again tomorrow, and I'll make flour and bake fresh bread for you all.
But the next day did not begin well at all. The wind had no intention of blowing, and the sails of a windmill cannot go round without wind. The mill beetle started to cry again.
All right, OK, please don't cry. We'll push it a little and maybe a breeze will blow up,
Stanley suggested, and all the others agreed. 7 of them pushed the 6 sails. Stanley, Balthazar, Bubble, Berry, Eddie, Zephyr and Morris. They pushed it around and around, but they soon got tired.
There's never going to be any bread,
the mill beetle moaned.
I'll go and tell the wind to blow,
Zephyr announced as she flew high up into the sky. She spoke politely to the wind.
Dear wind, please blow for us a bit, because the windmill sails won't go round and it's making the mill beetle cry.
This surprised the wind, and he muttered something to himself before flying lazily downwards. He took a deep breath and began to blow the windmill's sails. The mill started to move and work once more. The mill beetle filled the hopper and the millstones ground the wheat into the finest flour. The white flour began to form an impressive heap. The windmill sails went around and around and did not stop until the grasshopper girl signalled to the wind.
Thank you, that was just enough,
she said with a grateful smile, and the wind flew back up into the sky. When the flour was ready, the mill beetle began to prepare the bread dough. He put the loaf into the oven and waited patiently for it to bake. When it was golden brown all over, he took it out and cut it into thick slices. They spread the bread with butter and jam and feasted until every last crumb had been gobbled up. Starship. It was Christmas Day and Berry, Dolly, Balthazar, Flutter, Stanley and Bubble were walking home after playing snowballs.
Let's all go to my house and we can decorate the little Christmas tree in my garden. What a lovely idea!
The others all cheered. In the meantime, Flutter had an idea and she whispered it into Dolly's ear.
That's not fair. Don't keep secrets.
Yes, tell us too. It's mean to keep secrets.
Oh, it's not that sort of secret. In fact, it's not a secret at all.
Then tell us what it is.
We can't tell you, because it's going to be a surprise. I've got to go now because of the surprise, but I'll be back soon.
Dolly put a plate of fresh fruit bread on the table, and the little friends all tucked into a feast.
It's really delicious,
said Berry with a smile. Dolly then produced coloured paper, scissors, glue and ribbons and put them on the table. Everyone got quickly to work. They cut star, moon, heart and flower shapes out of the paper and threaded them onto a long ribbon. Flutter returned just as it was getting dark.
Now tell us what the secret is,
Balthazar said.
No, I still can't tell you.
The butterfly girl said secretively. I'm going to go home in that case.
All right, we'll decorate the little Christmas tree outside and then I'll tell you everything, okay?
Okay, the boys all agreed. They took the ribbon outside and carefully wound it around the little Christmas tree.
It looks lovely,
Bubble whispered sweetly. They all gathered around the tree and began to sing.
Little Christmas, lovely Christmas, little Christmas, lovely Christmas.
Look, what's that light high up in the sky?
Maybe it's a comet,
said Bubble. But they didn't have to guess any longer because the light began to descend and they could see it was a star house. And there, waving to them from the window, was their old friend, the Star Girl. So that was the secret, Stanley cheered. But how did you manage to invite her here?
I flew up to the moon and asked it to look for the Star Girl,
Flutter told him. Just then the Star Girl opened up a bag and twinkling stars flew out. First the stars danced around the Christmas tree. Then they flew high up into the night sky before coming back down to the ground and clustering together to make a starship with a long staircase at the front. The friends carefully climbed up into the starship. The Star Girl began to strum on her harp and the starship flew up and around the whole forest. They all had a super view of all the houses down on the ground and they even saw Harry Hedgehog's house with him inside sleeping his way through the chilly winter.
It's so beautiful,
Balthazar said dreamily. They eventually landed back outside Dolly's house. The Star Girl bowed politely and waved to show that she had to be off on her way. Dolly suddenly had a super idea. She flew up to the top of the Christmas tree, took the pretty ribbon off and placed it on top of the star house. The harp music made the star house slowly lift off the ground.
That really was a super surprise, Flutter,
Bubble said. We'll never forget this Christmas night, Stanley announced to all. Flutter goes skiing. On a winter day, Iris the Ice Beetle invited all her friends to go skiing. Has everyone got skis? She asked. I haven't, said Berry. And I haven't, Leapy the Grasshopper Girl joined in. Neither have I, Flutter the Butterfly added. Then let's make some skis for you. It isn't hard, Iris said with a smile. The friends all joined in. They sawed and sanded thin planks of wood, fixed foot straps to them and made poles for everyone, and the skis were finished by lunchtime. They all walked up the hill together. When they got to the top, they strapped on their skis and put on their ski helmets. Then Iris asked, "Does everyone know how to ski? I can teach anyone who doesn't." They all nodded except for Flutter. The little butterfly girl didn't know how to ski, but she didn't say anything. It can't be all that hard. I'll soon get the hang of it, she thought to herself. She only dared whisper the truth to the green grub. Berry was the first to go. Whoopee! He shouted with a broad grin as he sped down the snowy hillside. Dolly came after Berry, and then Balthazar, and then the others. Flutter was the last one to set off. She took a deep breath and pushed herself off. The only problem was she didn't know how to stop. She carried on skiing over the next hill and then the hill after that until she had skied a very long way away from the others. The little butterfly girl only stopped when she fell over into a big pile of snow. It was a while before the others realised that Flutter was missing.
Flutter doesn't know how to ski,
the green grub eventually told them. She can't ski, they all asked in surprise.
This was her first time. She was very nervous, but she didn't dare to mention it. Oh, I'm frightened that something terrible has happened to her.
The friends set off to search for Flutter. Dr. Owl was flying past and he spotted Flutter in the snow below. Flutter, what happened to you? He asked.
I couldn't stop and I fell over in the snow. I really hurt myself. I thought I'd never be able to stop. I don't want to ski again,
Flutter sobbed. Dr. Owl felt very sorry for the little butterfly girl, so he put her on his back and took her to his house. I'll bandage you up and then I'll take you to Iris's house. I'm sure the others will be looking for you, Dr. Owl said in a reassuring voice. The little friends frantically searched around, but they couldn't find Flutter anywhere. They walked sadly back to Iris's house. But Flutter was waiting for them when they arrived. They were overjoyed.
Hooray! Are you all right, Flutter? Tell us what happened to you,
Dolly told her. Flutter told them the whole story from beginning to end.
So you don't know how to ski?
Iris asked in surprise.
I'll teach you. You'll soon learn how to turn and stop, and you'll be able to ski down even the steepest hills. Thank you,
the butterfly girl said with a smile. Iris started to teach Flutter to ski the very next morning. By the end of the first day, the little butterfly girl could ski down small hills and stop safely at the bottom. Look! Flutter can ski! This calls for a celebration, Stanley shouted, and he started to play a tune on the icicles. The others sang and danced around the happy little butterfly. Sunflowers. Berry and Dolly planted sunflower seeds in the spring and watered the seeds until little shoots soon appeared. The shoots grew into little plants that grew into big plants. Then buds appeared that opened into lovely yellow flowers in the summer. Hooray! The friends cheered when they saw the lovely flowers. Berry noticed that the flowers pointed one way in the morning and another in the afternoon. Look, Dolly, they're turning their heads. That's because they always turn to face the sun. That's why they're called sunflowers. When the sun went down, the sunflowers hung their heads and went to sleep. All the forest friends were woken the next morning by shouts of panic.
Oh dear, what's happened? Our lovely sunflowers,
Dolly cried. Who could have done such a terrible thing? Berry wept. Someone has chewed through the stems of our sunflowers. Flutter washed their wounds with fresh dew, and Dolly bandaged them all with soft blades of grass. The sunflowers slowly started to smile again. The friends all gathered in Balthazar's house to decide what to do next. What are we going to do? Berry sobbed.
Someone needs to stand guard at night. I'll go first, said Dolly bravely.
The little ladybird hid quietly behind the bush and kept a close eye on the sunflowers. She didn't have to wait for very long. A hamster soon appeared and started to chew at the stems of the sunflowers. Dolly jumped out from her hiding place and shouted, "Shoo!" This surprised the hamster and he ran away.
He didn't come back again that night. Flutter guarded the sunflowers the next night, and then Balthazar, and then Stanley. Soon it was Berry's turn. The little snail hid quietly behind the bush and waited. He waited and waited until he eventually fell asleep. He wasn't even woken by the sound of the hamster chewing at the sunflower stems.
Oh dear, I must have fallen asleep. I didn't guard the sunflowers,
Berry sobbed when he saw the sadly sagging sunflowers the following morning.
Berry fell asleep. He slept while the hamster chewed the stems again.
Why do you all look so sad? Asked Dr. Owl. Dolly told him what had happened to the sunflowers. I think you should talk to the hamster. Ask him not to hurt the sunflowers, Dr. Owl suggested.
There he is. He's asleep in the bush,
Berry whispered to the others. The noise woke the sleeping hamster. The hamster looked scared of the friends, and the friends felt frightened of the hamster.
There's no need to be scared of us. We just wanted to ask you not to chew our sunflowers.
But then what will I eat?
The hamster told them.
We'll bring you plenty of apples and carrots to nibble on. Where do you live?
The little snail asked.
I haven't got a house of my own,
The hamster said sadly.
You haven't got a house?
Balthazar repeated in surprise.
Then we'll build you one.
Dolly brought apples, Berry brought seeds, Flutter brought raisins, Balthazar brought dandelion leaves, and Stanley brought carrots.
My new house is really super,
The hamster said with a cheery smile.
and thank you so much for all the yummy food.
The hamster never chewed the sunflower stems again, and they smiled happily at Berry and Dolly and all their friends for the rest of the summer. Gingerbread. December had arrived, and the forest was covered in a thick quilt of snow. Berry and Dolly were sitting chatting in the ladybird's dotty house.
Let's bake some gingerbread biscuits,
Dolly suggested with a bright smile. Berry and Dolly got to work in the kitchen. They bustled around in a cloud of spices and flour and rolled the biscuit dough out flat on the table. Dolly got all the gingerbread cutters out of the drawer. They cut lots of different shapes out and popped the biscuits in the oven to bake. When the biscuits were cooked to a crunchy crisp, Dolly took them out of the oven and put them in a pretty bowl. Then she carefully placed the bowl outside in the snow.
These hot biscuits will soon cool down in the winter chill,
she told Berry. Just then a magpie flew over the house. He could smell the delicious gingerbread biscuits, and he swooped down and carried the lot off in his big beak. When Dolly came out later, the bowl and biscuits had completely disappeared.
Oh dear, someone's taken my yummy biscuits,
she shrieked. But who could have taken the bowl? Berry asked. Berry and Dolly decided to go and search in the forest. The first friend they ran into was Iris the ice beetle.
Oh Iris, someone has taken my yellow bowl full of fresh gingerbread biscuits. You didn't see who it was, did you?
Dolly asked.
Yes, I did. It was the magpie. He flew off in that direction.
They kept walking until they met the grub.
Hello, Grub. The magpie took my yellow bowl filled with gingerbread biscuits. Did you see which way he flew?
The grub pointed. Not long after, Berry and Dolly caught sight of Bubble and Eddie, who were building a snowman.
Have you seen the magpie? He took my yellow bowl and all our gingerbread,
Dolly complained.
Yes,
We saw him. He flew towards the stream, the potato beetle replied. Look, Dolly, fresh biscuit crumbs. The magpie must have flown this way, Berry suddenly shouted. If we follow the trail, it should take us to the magpie's nest, Dolly proposed. The pair of them followed the trail of crumbs, and it took them all the way to the magpie's nest and to the sweet smell of gingerbread. Berry and Dolly climbed up the tree and knocked on the magpie's door. Did you take my yellow bowl filled with fresh gingerbread? Dolly asked as soon as the magpie opened the door.
Yes, it was me. I was very hungry. I saw the bowl sitting there, so I took it, but I can give it back to you.
It's not nice to take what belongs to somebody else, Dolly said, and marched back to her house in a grumpy mood. Berry did his best to keep up with the little ladybird. Don't be angry, Dolly. I know that the magpie took your bowl, but he gave it back, and I'm certain that he'll apologise, the little snail said. Berry and Dolly invited their friends over that afternoon. Flutter the butterfly, Balthazar the bee, and Stanley the stag beetle all came around for tea. They all sat at the table and began to eat. It wasn't long after that they heard a soft knock on the front door. Dolly opened the door. The magpie was standing outside and looking very ashamed of himself.
I brought you some rosehip cordial. I made it myself. Please take it as a gift to say how sorry I am for pinching your gingerbread, the magpie said. Why don't you come in and join us for a bite to eat, Magpie? There's plenty of room for you at our table. This made the magpie very happy. The friends sat around the table, munching on delicious gingerbread biscuits and sipping fresh rosehip cordial. They chatted and laughed late into the night. The Snowman. One cold winter morning, Berry the snail knocked on Dolly's front door. Let's go and play with my sledge in the snow. Dolly quickly put on her winter coat and her hat, scarf and gloves. She sat on the sledge and the little snail pulled her along. Eventually, the snow stopped. Berry and Dolly enjoyed the winter sunshine. They sledged down the steep side of the hill. Look at that super snowman, Berry shouted. Oh dear, we're going to hit it. But it was too late. The sledge ran right into the snowman that stood at the foot of the hill. Did you hurt yourself? Berry asked Dolly. No, I didn't, but I think we've ruined the snowman. Yes, it tipped right over, Berry said. I'm going to eat its carrot nose. Let's have a snowball fight with the snow from the snowman. Berry and Dolly started to throw snowballs. It was a lot of fun. Soon there was almost nothing left of the snowman. Just then, Balthazar the bee appeared and said hello to his friends. Do you want to throw snowballs with us? I'm too busy. I've brought a hat and a scarf to put on my snowman I built yesterday. Haven't you seen it?
Berry and Dolly looked at each other. Oh dear, Berry whispered. Balthazar must be looking for the snowman we hit. They didn't dare tell Balthazar that they'd knocked his snowman over. No, we haven't seen a snowman.
I can't find my snowman anywhere.
Berry and Dolly felt very sorry for the little bee. Don't be sad, Berry said finally. Let's build a new one. Okay, Balthazar sniffled. Dolly made the biggest snowball. It went on the bottom. Balthazar made the middle one for the snowman's tummy. And Berry made the smallest snowball for the snowman's head. Then Dolly lifted Berry up so he could stick the head on top. Then the snowman was finished, and Balthazar could finally put the stripy scarf around its neck. Berry took a big jump and put the red saucepan on its head for a hat.
Hey, it looks really super!
Balthazar said enthusiastically.
Balthazar, we've got something to tell you. We smashed your first snowman. We slid right into it with our sledge. It was an accident.
What? It was you?
Balthazar was very surprised, but then he soon forgave his friends.
This snowman looks much better than the first one,
he declared.
Come on, let's sledge down the hill together.
Berry, Dolly and Balthazar played with the sledge until it got dark, and were very careful not to hit their new snowman.